Back to Matthew, it says, most of the crowd spread their cloaks out on the road. Wait, hold up, what? Most of the crowd. You know, that jumped off the page the way I read it this last time, that most of the crowd did it. Now, here's the thing. When they started calling to people, it was his followers that came and did this worship, man. They were coming in an intentional way to worship Jesus. But other people that were there, a fringe, they stood back and they were too stoic or too self-involved to worship the Messiah who had been promised to them. And see, here's the thing that shocks me, and it shocks me about my own self, is that there's times where I want to feel too full of myself, too reserved, to want to worship freely. As one who's experienced the forgiveness and the life change of God, that I would ever be one of those who stands in the back of the crowd while others worship Jesus. See, there's a big difference between it. There's something about that, because what did it say they first did? It says they took off their coats. See, in that day, your coat was, man, you wore your coat every day. It was your outside garment. It not just was a protectant for you and a piece of clothing, keep the sun off you, but it was also, it showed who you were, because it was that piece of garment. Everybody identified who it was. That's why whenever Joseph, back in the Bible, you remember Joseph, coat of many colors? That cost a lot of money, because every single one of those was a dye. It was, man, that was a hard thing to build. So they saw his coat right away. They were like, we don't like this guy, because he had this fancy showing off coat. What are these people doing for Jesus? They take off their coat. They take off all of the things that represent who they are, their station in life, and they worship Jesus with it. They take it off. They take their coats off and they lay them on the ground for a donkey to walk over, because the donkey carries the King of heaven. Because the donkey carries the promised Messiah. And they came and they cut branches off. And they waved the branches before the Lord. They waved them and they threw them down before the Lord, so that he could come and have his way and walk into the city crying, Hosanna, Hosanna. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. They worshiped with everything they had. It goes back to that same thing with Solomon whenever he was going before the Lord, and they were just making sacrifice after sacrifice with everything they had, everything they could put their hands on. They worshiped the Lord.